Hey everybody, it's Crash Knife Fight, and I'm back with something special today. I had access to the Division 2 private beta, and I wanted to share my thoughts on the game. I started a video a couple of days ago, but I decided to spend some more time with the beta, explore Washington, D.C., and get a really good idea of what this game has to offer, rather than rushing something out after only a few hours. Full disclosure, I did not play the first Division title. It was not a game on my radar at the time, so I will not be making any direct comparisons between the old game and the new. So let's get this started. First off, let me provide a little background on this franchise and the backstory that accompanies the games. The Division games are part of the Tom Clancy series published by Ubisoft and developed by one of their subsidiaries, Massive Entertainment. The genre is best described as a third-person shooter action RPG set in an open-world environment. The first game takes place after a weaponized form of the smallpox virus is transmitted to New Yorkers via paper money on Black Friday, which creates chaos and results in Manhattan Island being placed under quarantine. As the protagonist, your character is an agent of the Strategic Homeland Division, or simply, the Division. Your character is tasked with restoring order and aiding first responders across Manhattan Island. As the game progresses, your character encounters rival factions and becomes involved with the effort to stop an attempt to make the smallpox outbreak a global pandemic. The gameplay includes single-player, co-op, and PvP modes with a variety of main and side missions. As the player progresses through the game, they will level up their character, unlocking perks, skills, and discovering increasingly powerful weapons and equipment. Jump ahead to the Division 2, and the smallpox virus has spread to Washington, D.C., where your character will once again attempt to restore order as they face off against new factions and complete new missions, all with the promises from Ubisoft that the sequel will be bigger and better. So is the Division 2 better? I have no idea. See my disclosure statement. But I can say that this beta has been damn fun. Let's talk about some details. The developers recreated Washington, D.C. in a one-to-one scale representation of the city. As you walk around the streets, you really feel like the developers did not cut any corners, literally or figuratively, to create a dystopian urban environment on the brink of complete collapse. The developers created the game with Ubisoft's proprietary Snowdrop game engine, and it does a pretty good job. As far as the graphics go, is it the best-looking game I've played on the PS4? Probably not. But the quality difference between this and something like Star Wars Battlefront 2, created with the Frostbite engine, are minimal and no way detracts from the game. It is certainly better than other recent big titles like Fallout 76. The Snowdrop engine makes Washington, D.C. feel like a living city with lighting and environmental effects like fog and rain and a day-to-night cycle. Also, the game includes a photo mode with all the accompanying bells and whistles to create some really great images to share with friends. The game has also run smooth, and I only encountered one major glitch where I got stuck in a wall and could not free myself. I experienced a number of crashes, but those types of things are to be expected in a beta. You start the game by selecting your character. The beta is only allowing players to generate a random character. Nevertheless, I expect to see a fairly deep character creation mode in the full version of the game. As the game generated different options for me, I saw a number of variations from hair, clothes, body art, markings, skin color, and etc. So I'm confident that every player will be able to create a unique character they are happy with. So now, a little on the gameplay. I made my way through the first couple missions, explored Washington, D.C., completed some side missions, and played the portion of the endgame Ubisoft released on Saturday. As you explore the city and make your way to mission locations, you will come across various types of bags and storage units to loot for parts and other technology that will be used to unlock perks and upgrade gear. Players will encounter enemies on the streets of DC that will need dispatched. The street encounters are usually not very difficult, but it gives you an overall feel for the combat and combat system. I like the combat system, and it fits well with the other Tom Clancy and Ubisoft games I have played in the past. Finding cover is an extremely important aspect of combat, and you will not last very long out in the open even against the easier enemies. Larger objects can be used for cover. As you approach an object, an indicator pops up letting you know to press a button which will position you behind the cover. You can fire on targets from this position by aiming down sights. While in cover, the game will lay out paths to other positions, and you can move to new cover simply by holding down X. For me, this type of combat system adds a bit of realism to the game and forces you to think a little more about how to approach the enemy rather than adopting the acrobatics that a lot of shooters rely on. The system has a few kinks, though. I noticed on a number of occasions when I was attempting to take cover, I would snap my player to the wrong side of the object or get hung up on an object, and I would get withered by gunfire while I repositioned myself. It's a system designed to think ahead and maneuver methodically rather than a run and gun system. There is, however, a parkour mode that I have yet to try that allows players to bound over cover and move more freely. This may allow for a little more improvisation and prevent some of the issues in the other mode. The enemy AI is really good. There are several different types of tactics they will employ to try to force you out of cover or flank you. I found myself replaying several sections of missions multiple times and even got a little frustrated here and there. I can't say if the AI is too challenging or I just need a little more experience with the franchise, pick better loadouts, or adopt better tactics. To help you combat the enemy, the game provides 3 weapon slots, allowing you to equip 2 primary weapons and a sidearm that are ready to go at any time. You also carry grenades and several armor kits that will allow you to patch up damaged armor to keep you fighting. Your character is also equipped with a ton of gear like gas masks, gloves, body armor, backpacks, and more that add to your overall armor score and add bonuses. You will discover new gear by exploring the city and defeating enemies. In addition to discovering better and more powerful equipment, you will unlock skill points and perks as you discover specific items or level up. These perks and skill points will allow you to unlock proficiencies and some pretty cool gadgets. Although there are multiple skills allowing you to unlock a variety of gadgets, for the beta, Ubisoft is only allowing players to experiment with 3, a turret, a drone, and a seeker mine, all of which have various modes and upgrades. These skills really come in handy and help me get through a number of tough firefights. For the in-game portion, the developers are granting players access to a character class from 3 specific specializations, each with a unique 4th special weapon and slot. In this case, you can choose a kit with either a sniper rifle, a grenade launcher, or a crossbow with exploding bolts. These weapons are pretty powerful, but one issue I ran into is the very limited ammo supply and scarce ammo pickups. When not out on missions or exploring DC, players can visit safe zones and hubs where they can utilize vendors, stash equipment, craft mods, use skill points, add perks, and much more. Some of the missions will allow you to unlock new stations at the White House, the main headquarters for the Division 2, by recruiting NPCs. I did not spend a lot of time crafting. I did make a few mods and some new equipment, but I do get a sense that it will add depth to the game. As far as the weapons and equipment goes, there is a lot of variety, and each gun has its own handling characteristics. Let me also add that gunplay felt pretty tight and punchy. All in all, a fairly pleasant experience. Long story short, the beta showed a lot of promise that the Division 2 will be a solid game with considerable depth in terms of missions, weapon variety, mods, and crafting, and generally speaking, the ability to create a unique character in this world that you will want to see progress. I did speak to a few people who have played the beta that also played the original, and they were all impressed with what they have seen so far. Moreover, there is a lot of positive feedback on social media. Of course, there is also a fair share of negative criticism, and it's my understanding that the first game had its fair share of issues that soured players on the franchise. I will add that Ubisoft has been very active on social media this past weekend, addressing players' concerns and technical issues and providing news about fixes. With all that said, there are a few issues I have with the game. It's not all that original in its concept. It's a lot like Destiny in that you visit a main hub where you take on missions and upgrade your gear, and you are always looking for the next best weapon or piece of equipment. So, much like Destiny, I'm wondering what the long-term replay value will be once you reach max level and acquire those super powerful weapons. If it's balanced with a variety of missions and a good story, then I think it'll be worth it. I'm also concerned about how much of the game will be co-op or require a team. This was always an issue for me with the Destiny series. Although I had friends that played the game, we were hardly ever online at the same time where I could join them for raids and strikes, which left me unable to complete some of the better content within the game. I see this may be an issue with the Dark Zone area, which is a mixture of AI and online players. The Dark Zone allows players to go rogue and attack other players. I ran into a few packs of psychos that gunned me down as I attempted to explore the DZ area, and I do believe that if I had some teammates, that would have gone a lot easier. The only other issue I see that may hinder this title does not have anything to do with the game itself, but the fact it is getting released in the midst of some other highly anticipated games. Anthem will be out later this month. The demo weekend for that game did not seem to go over very well, so the Division 2 may get some traction from players who are still fretting about EA. On the PS4, Days Gone will come out in April, which could take a chunk out of the Division's player base, and Devil May Cry 5, which will launch on multiple platforms a week before the Division. Regardless, after spending this weekend with the beta, I'm rooting for the Division 2 to be successful, and I will be picking it up in March. It very well may be the sleeper hit of this gaming season. I have not seen any information regarding an open beta session for the game, but if there is one in a few weeks, I highly recommend you all take the time to check it out. So I hope this video provided you with some insight into the beta. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll be back soon with a new video.